There is one thing Motorola phones do better than anybody else: the design. And this new $550 Motorola Edge is without a doubt the best looking mid-range phone in 2025. Just look at the sleek profile, the soft touch finish on the back, and just how lightweight this phone feels. But design only goes so far if you don't have the performance to back it up, so is the Motorola Edge 2025 more than just a looker, and should you buy it over the popular Android choices like the Google Pixel 9a and the OnePlus 13R? Let's start with a quick look at the specs. The dimensions show just how light and thin this phone really is. Then you have the unimpressive MediaTek chip inside and the fast charging specs. More on that later. Well, the sleek design is great, but here's the first limitation. The slightly curved screen means installing a screen protector would be a pain. Otherwise, the 6.7-inch OLED screen has nice, vibrant colors. It's plenty sharp and it's brighter than before, but not the brightest when compared to rivals. The Pixel 9a and Galaxy A56 both get much brighter outdoors, and particularly the Pixel can hit 2500 nits of max brightness outdoors. Compare this to 1400 nits on the Motorola. That's quite the difference. Well, at least the Motorola Edge is brighter than the super dim iPhone 16e, which can only hit 800 nits, which is almost impossible to see on a bright sunny day. And Apple even sells that phone at a premium. Anyway, another thing I was slightly disappointed on the Motorola was the minimum brightness. The phone is just way too bright at 3 nits, and if you're in the habit of using your phone in bed, this will be annoying. Next, the fingerprint reader. It's an optical one, so that's one other thing that might blind you at night. It's decently accurate though, but it's positioned a bit too low, so I would really prefer it to be just a bit higher for easier reach. But no other complaints besides that. One thing that is not bad though is the loudspeakers. They get quite boomy for a mid-range phone, and the quality is not bad at all on certain songs. On others, the bass is a bit lacking, but overall pretty good. And while other mid-range phones only come with 2 cameras on the back, the Motorola Edge has the full trifecta: a main camera, an ultra-wide one, and a 3x telephoto one. The main and telephoto one are actually quite decent, but highlights in images are often just a bit too bright, and you don't have the impressive dynamic range of images from the Pixel 9a, for example. I was also let down by the ultra-wide camera, which particularly lacks in detail on the Motorola Edge. Colors in photos, however, are mostly true to life, with the occasional oversaturated greens, and good lighting. Detail with the main camera is actually quite good, with no noise and, most importantly, none of the over-sharpening issue we commonly see on cheaper phones. On the video side, we have a few limitations though. First, once you hit the record button in 4K mode, you cannot switch to the ultra-wide camera. That's only available if you record in 1080p. And here's what the quality looks when compared to the Pixel 9a.
Hey guys, this is a sample video taken with the Motorola Edge 2025 and the Google Pixel 9a. Here's a 4K 30fps video sample taken with the main camera of both phones. You can switch to the ultra-wide on the Motorola, but you can on the Pixel 9a.
Okay, I mentioned that this phone has one notable weakness, so let's talk about it. The MediaTek 7400 chip inside it is just decent, but far from perfectly smooth, and you can notice a bit of stutter here and there. It's not the end of the world, but I've seen far less stutter on the Pixel 9a or the OnePlus 13R. If you want super smooth performance, well, this phone is not great for this. And having 8GB of RAM on board is also common for mid-rangers, so it's hard to criticize Motorola for it, but I do wish for 12GB these days. One bright spot, however, is the plentiful onboard storage. You get 256GB in the base model, which makes the Motorola quite the value offering. You'd have to pay at least $100 more for a similar amount of storage on a Pixel or an iPhone. But keep in mind that those savings are possible because Motorola opts for the slower UFS 2.2 type of storage, while the Pixel uses the faster UFS 3.1 storage, so that also contributes to those occasional stutters on the Motorola Edge. And then battery life. With a 5200 mAh battery, the Edge 2025 strikes a good balance between battery size and physical size. It's a slightly larger battery than on the Galaxy A36, for example. The Motorola scored above average in our testing, with a total estimated screen time of 6 hours and 45 minutes, which is a bit more than the Galaxy A36, ahead of the iPhone 16e, but not as long-lasting as the Pixel 9a, which got over 8 hours. But the Motorola Edge has one more saving grace: super fast charging times. With 68-watt charging speeds, you get 70% battery back in just 30 minutes, and we measured that a full charge only takes 53 minutes. Really impressive. Now keep in mind though that you can only achieve these speeds with Motorola's own turbo power charger, and if you just use a regular power delivery charger from the likes of Anker, you'll get much slower charging speeds. There's also support for 15-watt wireless charging, which is a nice extra. Now as for the software, it's the usual clean Android 15 skin that Motorola is known for. Yep, with all those chop for the LED light and twist to quickly start the camera, with the addition of the AI key on the left side, which launches the Perplexity-based assistant. Of course, you can always access Google's Gemini with a long press on the power button on the right, but Motorola wants you to also try Perplexity, which is interesting. Now, after using both assistants for a while, I think Gemini is a bit ahead and usually provides more detailed and helpful answers, but the difference is not that big at all. Now, I really wish I could remap this button to something more useful, and sadly, you don't have that option. You can also do a bunch of new AI stuff, like an AI annotated screenshot that takes a few long seconds to appear, or a voice notes summarized and transcribed by AI. The voice notes are my favorite AI addition here, even if that's nothing new in the overall smartphone world. I also like the little image generation tricks that Motorola has built in. You can create animated avatars out of your photos, and you might remember that Samsung has something similar, but Motorola's take actually works a lot better and gives you results that are much closer to reality. It's all a gimmick, of course, but a nicely done one. Finally, Motorola has a bad reputation with software updates, and with the 2025 Edge, it's not doing much to fix that. The official promise is for just 2 years of OS upgrades. Yikes. The Pixel 9a will have far better longevity with its promised 7 years of OS updates by Google. So let's summarize. On the Pro side, you have a gorgeous design, super fast charging, a decent camera, and a clean UI, while the cons include the short software support window, slower storage type, and occasionally choppy performance. Overall, this is not a bad phone, and it beats the Pixel 9a in design and looks, but Motorola really hasn't done much for the performance problems and the update situation. What do you think though? Is the new Motorola Edge 2025 a phone you would buy? Let me know in the comments.